The there's this office. It's part of the federal government. It's the Office of Refugee Resettlement. And basically what they're responsible for is they're responsible for finding homes, jobs, education, healthcare, all these sorts of resources that people need when they arrive in the United States as refugees. So the Office of Refugee Resettlement does a lot of work with people who are in danger, and they try and get them into a better place, allegedly. And what actually ends up happening is that the Office of Refugee Resettlement works with two Christian organizations to house migrant children. So once the family separation happens, which it is still happening, after the children have been taken away from their parents, their siblings, their relatives, they're given over to these religious institutions that then foster them out. So, basically what the president has done, not just this president, for those of you who need to, oh yeah, the other guy did it too. Yeah, not just this one, but currently what the current president is doing is separating children from their families. So when a child comes across the border, if they don't have the proper documentation, then the parent is considered a criminal. And then once they label that parent as a criminal, they strip their child from them. And after they've taken the child away from the parent, what they do is put them into the Office of Refugee Resettlement. And the Office of Refugee Resettlement works with these two organizations to get the children into foster homes. Now, there's a whole ball of wax there that could be pulled apart. But basically what happens is the children, once they're fostered out, disappear because the Office of Refugee Resettlement and these two Christian organizations are not very accountable. In fact, they're unaccountable, and they don't account for children. So what ends up happening is these children get put into more or less a trading pool. So the foster parents have created a network that they use to rehouse the refugee children. So once one of the refugees has been put into the foster home, if the parents are having a hard time with that refugee, what they do is reach out to other parents. And then those other parents they transfer the children around. Okay, and this is how refugee children go from being inside of concentration camps to being inside of the home of sexual predators. And this isn't even speculation. This is just pure, you can do the research on it yourself. The Office of Refugee Resettlement is putting children in danger by putting them into a foster care system that neglects the children. And it's especially bad here in Oregon. The foster care system in Oregon is terrible. It's terrible. And it really harms the people. So, I think it's important to understand that the Office of Refugee Resettlement is no good. They're not helping the children. And it's not okay with me for children to go from living inside of concentration camps to then being put into harm's way with these predators in the different Catholic organizations and Lutheran organizations that, there's only two of them, by the way, that organize all of the foster care for refugee children. So you guys might not understand this because it's a real big topic and it has a lot of different angles working in it. But one of those angles is saving the children's eternal soul, because these religious groups, they want to bring the mission home. They have declared that as one of their goals. So instead of going on missionary deployments to other countries where they can try and convert people, they're staying here and bringing the threatened, endangered children from abroad here and endangering them here. And when I say endangering, I mean they're putting them into the hands of religious extremists. The religious extremists often use corporal punishment on the children for not speaking English. And the kids don't know Spanish or English. A lot of those kids, they're indigenous children from tribes in Central and South America that don't have anything to do with white culture. They don't have anything to do with Spanish culture. They're unprepared for the type of circumstances that the Office of Refugee Resettlement puts them into. So I feel like it's really important to talk about this, and I hope you guys take the time to learn about the Office of Refugee Resettlement and the way that the Office of Refugee Resettlement endangers children, because it's no joke. They're putting children into the hands of this foster care system, and the foster care system is broken. So then what happens to the kids? They end up dying. Do the research on it. The children put into foster care systems end up dying. It's especially bad in Oregon. So for us to go around trying to pretend like we have some moral high ground, casting aspersions on traditional indigenous ways, meanwhile stealing their children and putting them into extremist religious homes, that's white supremacy. That is white supremacy right there. So anyway, I just wanted to come on and talk to you guys for a minute about that. Do appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and I will talk with you again very soon.